Good morning, everyone. This is Commissioner Bell. Today is Tuesday, June 25th, 2024, and we'll call this meeting to order at 8 a.m. As a reminder, our call-in number is 971-254-3149, conference ID 866-914-607#. Before we get started, I'd like to remind everyone to mute your phones. You can do this by pressing star 6. Please unmute yourself when called to speak, again pressing star 6. It's very important for all others to remain muted. Thank you. Well, we've called the meeting to order, and we'll start off with Board of Commissioners roll call. Good morning, Commissioner Olson.
Good morning, Commissioner Bell. I'm here.
Wonderful. Thank you. We do not have Commissioner Scar with us this morning. She is on a well-deserved vacation this week. So we'll jump right in with Adventist Health Tillamook and President Eric Swanson. Oh, I wonder if Eric told me that he couldn't be here this week. Hey, good morning.
Can you hear me now? I was doing my due diligence and I muted myself. So I am now unmuted.
No problem.
Good morning. How are you?
Oh, well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. 14 patients in the hospital today. 11 surgeries yesterday. 96 patients boarding in emergency departments across Oregon. That's 7 more than yesterday. 369 discharge delays. That's 6 more than yesterday. The only other thing I wanted to share with you is that I went to the groundbreaking for the new Tillamook Bay Community College Health Occupations building on Friday, and it was outstanding. And so congratulations to you, Commissioner, and the rest of the board members from the Board of Education at TBCC. I'm really looking forward to that building being completed and the amazing education we can provide people who want a career in healthcare. So it was just an honor to be there on Friday. So unless you've got questions for me, I'll go back on mute.
Thank you. I do not have any questions. Do you, Commissioner Olson? Perhaps not.
Took a moment to unmute. No, I don't. I was there as well, and I would second what Eric said. It was a very well-organized, thoughtful 45 minutes or so, and a big pile of dirt and an earth-moving machine and all the right people there. And yes, I think really, really good things are ahead for the college and for the people of Tillamook County, because we can grow our own. And, you know, this was a long time coming, but the college over the last 10 years has made some remarkable strides. And of course, you're part of it, Commissioner, and others as well. So yeah, good for all of us. It's a good thing.
Thank you. I agree completely. I was pleased and grateful that you both were there, as was Senator Weber, and perhaps she'll be on here in a minute. And thank you, Eric, for congratulations to me as a member of the board, but also thanks to you, because the whole process would have been a lot less successful without the strong partnership of Adventist Health and in being able to build the building, and also your help on the campaign to pass the bond. And additionally, the fact that we can use Adventist Health as well as the Nehalem Bay Health Center as a way to get practical experience for the nursing students. So it's really a very strong, important partnership, and I thank you.
Yep, it's our privilege to be a partner with you.
Thank you. Well, with that, we can move on to the Coastal Caucus. Do we have Senator Weber with us this morning? Give her a minute to unmute. I believe Representative Javity told us last week that he was not able to join us this week or next. Senator Weber, are you with us? Well, maybe we'll move on to the Tillamook County Community Health Center and get Senator Weber in if she's able to join us later. So do we have Ed Colson this morning?
Yes, we do, Commissioner. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, and good morning, Tillamook County. Well, for our health department update this morning, come and get a wellness exam at Tillamook County Community Health Centers between July 1st and December 31st of this year and receive a free gift card. After your wellness visit, ages 3 to 6 will be mailed a $15 gift card, and ages 7 and older will be mailed a $25 gift card. Wellness exams may include a physical exam, sports physical, immunizations, in-clinic testing, or dental, hearing, nutrition, and or vision screening, and are at no cost to you, as your insurance will be billed if you're insured. Schedule an appointment to live well and be well today at 503-842-3938. Now, the Oregon Health Authority has shared the news recently that Oregon health officials are urging being up to date on the measles vaccination. 3 cases of this highly contagious disease have been identified, 1 in Marion County and 2 in Clackamas County. 1 was an adult and 2 were children, and none were vaccinated. Most people in Oregon are protected because they have received the 2-dose MMR, which is the measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine as a child. Measles poses the highest risk to unvaccinated pregnant people, infants under 1, and people with weakened immune systems. Symptoms include fever, cough, runny nose, and red eyes, usually followed by a rash that begins on the face and then spreads to the rest of the body. The MMR vaccine is fully covered by all marketplace and other health insurance plans, and there are free options for uninsured children as well. And now that summer is officially here, we'd like to remind everyone that June is National Safety Month. Of course, safety matters every day of the year, but June is the kickoff to an active summer that we get to celebrate. We want to educate about safety with resources to keep ourselves, our families, and our communities safe. Throughout this month, please follow our Facebook page for safety information on emergency preparedness, slips, trips, and falls, heat-related illnesses, and hazard recognition. And then lastly, Tillamook County Community Health Centers offices and clinics will be closed next Thursday, July 4th, for the Independence Day holiday. And with that, that is our health department update.
Thank you very much, Ed. Do we have any questions for Ed? We appreciate the report. Thank you. Was Senator Weber able to join us? Then let's move on to the Nehalem Bay Health Center and Pharmacy. Gail Nelson, are you with us this morning? Give Gail a moment to unmute. Well, I know that Tillamook Family Counseling Center, Frank Hanna Williams, is not with us this morning, so we are blasting through this agenda. How about emergency management, Randy Thorpe? Well, Doug, maybe it's you and me. Would you like to give your Board of Commissioners report, Commissioner
Well,
Olson?
thank you, Commissioner. Yes, was that Randy I heard? No,
I did
guess
not hear it.
Must be summertime. People are starting to move about the country, and good for them, good for everybody. Yes, I will. Thank you. I'll have a few things this morning. The Northwest Act, which is the Area Commission on Transportation, met last week, and I was there along with a number of others, I think, including Senator Weber and former Senator Johnson and others. And that followed closely the same week, a tour by ODOT, the Oregon Department of Transportation, a week ago was in town. We started the day, there were only probably 25 or 30 in the first initial meetings. We took a bus tour up Highway 6 a ways to see some of the work being done up there or to be done up there. And then we also went around the county a bit and ended up in Garibaldi, where they talked about some major projects there. So we had the right people with us. We had the director of ODOT, and that's a statewide director, reports directly to the Transportation Commission, which was appointed by the governor. So, and some of their senior management. So we had the right set of ears to hear our issues here and what we would like to see. And that was followed by a roundtable by invitation only at the Red Barn. And I think there were probably 35 or 40 of us there. And we took several turns talking as questions came up, and well organized. And the things that I had mentioned, just for review, they asked what was important. And one of the things I said was, if cuts need to be made, don't cut the yellow center lines and the white fog lines, because here on the Oregon coast, it rains and it gets dark early in the fall and winter and early spring. And a lot of people have to drive on roads that are very dark themselves with black asphalt. And so those lines really, really help when it's raining and dark out. And so I urged them not to cut that. And I know they've talked about that, and that's why I said it. We also talked about the formula and not changing it. And the formula for state funds in Oregon is the gas taxes and other funds that come to ODOT. They retain 50% to fund state highways and state roads. 30% comes to the counties and another 20% to the cities. And of course, with funding shortfall, they're talking about adjusting those formulas. And quite a number of us said, no, you need to leave it where it is. At least it's predictable and we can work within those boundaries, but please don't change them. And then the meeting was followed by a public meeting that evening at the port of Tillamook Bay. And I would say there were probably 45, 50, maybe a few more people there, and a good number got to testify as well. And so the whole day was spent with ODOT people, and they were here. They came over from several parts of the state. The evening meeting actually had 10 legislators sitting as a panel, and that's over 10% of the whole Oregon legislature. So we had the right people in the room, and I think the messages were heard. What I've found interesting over the years, and I've been to quite a number of these roadshows, I guess you'd call them, or tours with one organization or another, is they hear a lot about various programs, and people get up and testify and implore them not to cut their particular program. But very seldom do you hear about the other side of the ledger, which of course is expense. Every budget has two sides. It has revenue and then expenditures. And people are employing the legislature and the Department of Transportation to not cut anything and to find a way to fund their particular program and their interests. And those are important issues, but nobody ever talks about the expenses. And so I've always found that a bit fascinating that, you know, if you could cut X percent from some expenditure that might be marginal or maybe past its time, that's the same thing as getting the same amount in revenue. And for some reason, that's always overlooked. Anyway, so I just thought I would throw that in. A couple more items. We have our second small utility meeting this week on Thursday here at the courthouse, 9 o'clock. This is where we're bringing all the small water and wastewater utilities in by invitation. Anybody can come in. It's a public meeting. And we're talking about some of the issues that face our small utilities, such as getting a board and keeping a board, and how do you pay for proper staffing and certified staffing, and how do you get your audit lined up and over to the Secretary of State, and all those kinds of issues. This time we'll have Colin Cooper, who's the director of COLPAC, will be with us, and he'll talk about some sources of funding and maybe how we can do a better job with intergovernmental agreements or those kinds of things where we can all work together and where they don't have a critical mass. For example, some utilities have fewer than 100 customers or maybe only 200, and that doesn't generate enough cash flow to even hire a staff person. So that's on our agenda this week. Also have a Tillamook Lightwave later this morning. I think I'd mentioned before, we've received, Tillamook Lightwave, received a $147,000 grant. Only one or 9 of us out of 27 organizations, counties and cities and others who asked for the grant money got it. Tillamook Lightwave was one. And we'll use that to do some additional planning and setting up for a larger grant, some of the $690 million approximately that the state has from the feds to expand broadband throughout Tillamook County. So we've got a pretty good plan now going up Highway 22, which is underserved, and then some other areas, mostly the rural areas off Highway 101 and Highway 6. That would need higher speed internet as well. So more to come on that one. We also this week we'll adopt our budget for the next fiscal year, which is the 24-25 fiscal year. The budget is balanced. We'll adopt it, probably not make any significant changes tomorrow. But we're going to start a series of meetings in early July over the 6 months following about how does the picture look over the next 2 or 3 or 5 years. And because of a number of items, including changes in harvest levels in the state forest, the Tillamook State Forest, that may, change things on the long term. So we're looking at a variety of options. Many of them are quite disagreeable, like cutting hours of employees, or maybe having the courthouse only open 4 days a week, and a variety of other things. And I'll stress that none of that has been adopted. We're simply talking about these various things that could be done to keep the budget balanced and keep things going. So a lot more to come on that as we work through it. Lastly, well, let's see, 2 more things. The fair is coming right along. I believe everything is in place. The entertainers are all lined up. Contracts have been signed. As far as I know, everything will be good as or better than all the past fairs. So mark your calendars for August 7, 8, 9, and 10. That's a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday coming up, and that's only a little over a month away. So we'll have our wonderful fair here in Tillamook County all day on those 4 days. Last thing I would mention is I attended a baseball game over the weekend, and it's a West Coast league, and people may not be familiar with it, but it's real baseball. It's entirely college teams, the players from the teams, not the teams themselves, but they formed a league some years ago, and they've been playing over the summer. And there's 16 teams that go from Edmonton, Alberta, clear up in Canada, down into parts of Vancouver and Kamloops, and across Washington and Oregon, down to Corvallis and Bend and Yakima and Walla Walla, the Portland Pickles, and a number of others. And I was thinking while we're sitting in a game on a nice Sunday afternoon, you know, the person sitting next to you may have arrived in his Mercedes, or he might have come on the bus. You know, it just doesn't matter. You're sitting there next to people on a nice afternoon, maybe eating a hot dog and watching a great American game of baseball. And I guess my point is, you know, there's a lot of strife and difficulties across our nation these days, and a lot of people have opinions on one thing or another, and we don't seem to get along. But I'll tell you, in a baseball game, it doesn't matter. Everybody's the same. You're all looking at a baseball game on a nice afternoon and watching the young men do their best. And I don't know that it gets much better than that. I guess my advice is to everybody, go to a baseball game and forget about all this nonsense that goes on every day and enjoy life. So I guess, thank you. That's my message for today, Commissioner.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate your entire message, and the baseball part makes me smile. I think it is a great equalizer and something we can all share. You're absolutely right. I wonder if anyone we missed earlier in the agenda has joined us now who'd like to jump in. Give it a moment. Well, if not, I will mention a few things that actually Commissioner Olson has already covered, but I'll hit a couple points that he didn't. I also was at the Commission on Transportation meeting last week, and I just thought it was outstanding. It was terrific. Commissioner Olson also already described how the commission is made up of multiple elected officials, legislators, both representatives and senators from all over the state. And so they were all in Tillamook, which was an honor. So it was an honor to have them here. And I participated in the roundtable discussion, which was a big roundtable. There might have been, 30 or 40 of us around the table. And everybody got a chance to share, to talk about their concerns, to share their ideas, to share their requests. And I thought it was a terrific process. And I was very grateful for everyone who was there speaking up And in particular, the industry folks. We had some folks from industry there, from the trucking industry. In particular, I was impressed with Joe Yank's testimony and with Heather Taxtall's testimony. Joe Yank, of course, was representing Yank Farms, and Heather Taxtall was representing Zawald Trucking. And they both just had terrific things to say about the importance of Highway 6 as an economic driver, because we have very limited opportunities for transportation for commerce. I mean, basically, it's Highway 6. So there was a really great discussion that was had, eye-opening, I hope, for the folks who are listening, about this is our economic lifeline. Highway 6 is what we need to get product in and out of Tillamook, and there aren't alternatives. And so when we hear from ODOT that Highway 6 isn't one of their priorities because based on a matrix that they use to determine, numbers of people who use a highway, for example, which you would think would be reasonable, it's not reasonable for us because it is a priority here and we're isolated without it. And so, for example, Joe Yank was talking about there should be some funding mechanism that would be like a Highway 6 account to put money in every single year to plan to repair it every single year, because we know that the road is moving, it's changing, it deteriorates every single year without fail, just because of what's happening on that hillside. It's moving. And he talked about how, I think we all know that it's not going to be re-engineered in our lifetimes because it would be exponentially, unthinkably expensive, probably hundreds of millions to re-engineer Highway 6 and move it somewhere else. So I think we have what we have and we need it. It's essential. It's not optional. And we need to invest in it. And Heather Taxtall's message was very similar. So I just wanted to share with the community that those folks and everyone else in the room did a really great job. Chris Lady, the Director of Public Works, did an outstanding job. He led the tour. He talked at length with the legislators about funding priorities, about supporting ODOT for maintenance. Winter maintenance, the things that we would be crippled without. And also, to Doug's point, not cutting the current revenue sharing plan, not cutting the revenue that's shared with counties or cities, because we couldn't do what we need to do without it. And that revenue isn't replaceable for us. We don't have another way to generate that revenue. So it was altogether, I think it was very good. This was a road show for them. They were going all over the state. And I think there may very well be opportunities for folks to still testify online in writing if you wanted to through the OLIS website. And it was good. It was impressive. I also wanted to talk about something that I went to last night. I went to a meeting that was organized. It was a meeting in North Tillamook County in Nehalem of the Rural Organizing Project. It's a nonprofit group. And so there was a very nice group of people there. And we were talking about, the topic was, what are we doing individually, collectively to participate in democracy? And it was just such a good conversation that I wanted to share a couple of the highlights, the things that stayed with me that I've been thinking about this morning. We were talking about the importance of civics classes and workshops and how we could organize some community civics classes for adults. I think most of us of a certain age had civics classes in school, and it just seems like there are gaps in our knowledge as a culture. And so civics classes and workshops was one topic we talked about. And we also talked about shared values, like what are the values that as a community we all share? And that was just a really meaningful conversation. We talked about things like water. everybody cares about water. We care about clean water. We care about the availability of water. We care about decreasing quantities of water. Everybody cares about water. We all care about housing, mostly. I think a vast majority of people recognize that inadequate housing has a terrible impact on our community. We all care about emergency preparedness and emergency response. We as a community step up and help our neighbors in emergencies. And a lot of people in our community are involved in emergency response or preparedness, getting ready for emergencies. And largely we talked about being fiscally conservative, and most of the people in the room agreed that as a community, as a culture, we're fiscally conservative. And it's an interesting topic that we don't talk about often enough, but that plays into what Doug was talking about the upcoming budget workshops, that the county is fiscally conservative, and we're going to have to become more fiscally conservative. And so we're going to have these workshops to talk about how can we be even more so. How can we generate revenue, but also how can we decrease expenses? And so he's right. It's a two-sided coin, and we need to talk about both things. And in those workshops, Doug probably said this, but I'll repeat it, that in those workshops, at some point, we will have an opportunity to invite the community to participate with us. We want to hear from people in the community who are thinking about this or who are willing to think about this. Like, what do you think the opportunities are for the county to generate more revenue or to decrease revenue or expenses, rather? Because if it comes to that, what that means is decreasing the services that the county provides the public. And so which services do you think you could do without? It's really a difficult conversation, as Commissioner Olson said, because we're talking about people. Nobody wants to lay people off, and we're not planning on it. But that's one of the things that we would have to consider: decreasing our workforce. And if not laying people off, maybe decreasing the workforce through attrition. But if we were to decrease services, what services does the community think they don't need? Because of course we think all the services that we provide are important and valuable. So, and we think they're valued. But if that's not true, we need to hear it from the community. So there will be opportunities, and we'll let you know, of course, when we'd like the public to step up and participate in these conversations about the county budget. So that was a little sidetrack from what I was saying about the group I was with last night. Was talking about, as a community, of course there are all kinds of things that we don't have in common, but what's more interesting is to think about what are the things we do have in common, and how can we connect in those places and work together on those issues. So it was just very meaningful. It was a terrific conversation. I appreciate Vivi Tallman for hosting that meeting and bringing us together. And I thank everybody who participated in the TBCC groundbreaking on Friday. There was a terrific turnout, and it was just a real celebration. I love the way our community comes together to do the right things. And it seems like creating an opportunity for local students to get good family wage jobs in healthcare, such as nursing, everybody wins. Everyone wins. From the students themselves, people being able to, our economy, people being able to get good jobs and stay here, who want to raise their kids here. Healthcare, the healthcare that we receive as patients, as patients, we are impacted by a shortage of healthcare providers, and we're impacted by the exorbitant prices that healthcare providers, organizations have to pay for traveling nurses and contract nurses. Absolutely everyone will benefit from this project, from having, as Doug said, a homegrown nursing pool of people who want to go to school and become educated to be nurses and stay here. So that was really exciting. And I think I will stop there. and do one more call out for anyone earlier on the agenda who may have joined us late, who I missed. If not, we'll move on to the cities, and I wonder if Mayor Stock is with us from the city of Manzanita.
I am here. Good morning, Commissioner Bell.
Good morning.
So I'd just like to echo just briefly a few things that have been mentioned by folks previous to me. I wanted to thank specifically Commissioners Olson and Commissioner Bell for the really excellent job they did with the Department of Transportation group that was here. That's been discussed earlier, but I would just say I was at the roundtable in the afternoon, which was actually a rather large rectangular table, but there were a lot of people there with a lot of really interesting and powerful things to say. And I was on the edge of that, but really pleased to be represented by both Commissioner Olson and Bell, who did a great job of advocating for the community. So thank you for that. I also was at the meeting last night that Commissioner Bell just talked about in terms of rural organizing in Oregon, and it was extremely interested. She did a great job of summarizing that meeting, so I won't belabor that except to say it's always good to get in a room with people who are willing and interested to talk with each other, particularly if they have different perspectives or different views on things, particularly when that can be done respectfully and with the idea of learning something that perhaps you did not know before you entered that living room or sat down at the table or even sat next to somebody at the baseball game, as Commissioner Olson reminded us of earlier. So I wanted to say thank you for both of those things. We are very excited, as we always are around this time of year, for the upcoming 4th of July parade, which is, I think many of you know, a cherished family tradition here in Manzanita. Our theme this year is Soar Forth, and we are ready to do that. So 4th of July, parade starts at 1. People in the parade start gathering at about noon, and we'll take our traditional route down Lanita Avenue and back up through a couple of neighborhoods. So a lot of volunteers have worked really hard on that, and we're all excited. And personally, my family is coming from all over the U.S. for that this year, and so I'm doubly excited for what kind of a nice holiday that's going to be. From a different angle, we had some of our counselors on the road yesterday on Garbage Pickup Day here in Manzanita with Recology. Recology is our garbage service here, and they are looking at a rate increase. And so they invited us to come and join them on their ride-along to better understand what the routes look like and the challenges some of the drivers face. So it's great to be invited and to learn more. We also had this week a community meeting where we discussed a likely upcoming ordinance to reduce our speed limit to 20 miles per hour throughout the city in the interest of safety for pedestrians and bikers as well. So lots of good community discussion there. And we also covered dark sky lighting, which was recently introduced as an ordinance. We have a wonderful police force here in Manzanita, and one of our officers, Sergeant Mike, as he is affectionately known, sat down with one of our counselors for a coffee with the city to discuss that. And again, lots of good conversation and building understanding about that. We did up in this area have a terrific fundraiser for the health district here. Band came in who volunteered to do it as a community service, and they were an incredibly good blues band who stepped out of their previously planned schedule to come and do a benefit concert here locally, and that was just fantastic. So I'm sure you'll hear more from Gail about some of that in the future. And July, we're also, after we get over the parade and celebrate that, our short-term rental committee, who's been working for a while on this, are getting ready to present some options to council for discussion here regarding some possibilities of balancing financial issues and community livability as it relates to our short-term rentals here. And that's it from Manzanita. I hope everybody has a great day. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I really appreciate your report. Do we have anyone on from the city of Nehalem or Wheeler? How about Rockaway Beach? Mayor McNeely, are you with us this morning?
Good morning. Oh, excuse me. Good morning. I am here with you this morning.
Wonderful.
Thank you. This is like Mayor Stock. I really appreciate these opportunities to both listen and opine. So we've received good news from Senator Merkley's office. Our city's $2.75 million request for infrastructure funding through the fiscal year 2025 Community Initiated Projects program is still under consideration. It's been submitted to an appropriation committee. If it sees passage through the committee, it will then go to Congress for approval. It looks like the final steps will not happen until late 2024 or early 2025, but we're keeping our fingers crossed. And a special shout out and thank you to our city planner, Mary Johnson, for her work on this effort. We held a milestone event for Rockaway Beach last Friday. We had the grand opening, official grand opening for our Anchor Street Park with a ribbon cutting ceremony. Special thank you to former Mayor Sue Wilson. This is a special project for her, so we invited her to come and cut the ribbon. I have no doubt that the park and its 2 ADA compliant play structures will be enjoyed for years to come by children of all ages. Today, our High Ground Project coordinator, Thomas Fiorelli, and our city planner, Mary Johnson, will be meeting with a representative from Congresswoman Susan Bonamici's office. The discussion will focus on an overview of the emergency preparedness and response project goals and progress. So for those of you who aren't aware, the city purchased from the timber company 10 acres on the east border of our city and has a need to move, to replace and move our fire station out of the inundation zone, which is the primary driver, but there are lots of other opportunities for our community to come together and create a phenomenal space up there, including protecting our first responders. Our strategic planning effort is moving forward with public engagement set to roll out on June 28th. This public engagement will include a mailer in our utility bill, business cards with QR codes, for elected officials to hand out, press releases through Facebook, Tillamook County Pioneer, and Headlight Herald, significant website updates, and a dedicated page. So we had a great session with the city leadership and the city council, and now we'll take that information and move to listening to members of our community. I'll mention that City Manager Shepherd is attending the Oregon City and County Managers Association Summer Conference, and he'll be back in the office on July 1st. And as Mayor Stock said, yes, the 4th of July is right around the corner. Back to you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate your report, and I'm very excited that you're moving forward to move the fire station out of the tsunami inundation zone. It's so important. It's such important work because, of course, you want to take care of the.
Yes.
Of course, you want to take care of your first responders, and in an emergency, those are the folks we're going to need the most. And if their workplace is underwater, it's not going to be helpful. So I'm delighted that you're doing that work, and it really raises the topic of how many essential services are in this tsunami inundation zone in Tillamook County, or along the Oregon coast. I would venture to guess that there are a number of them.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Do we have anyone on from Garibaldi? Leanne Welch, are you with us? Or the city of Bay City? Well, we do not have Nathan George with us today from Tillamook. He said that he will update us next week on 2 weeks worth of information. And so this might be a record short meeting. We're at the end of our agenda today. So I want to thank KTIL for broadcasting. Thank everyone for listening, and thank you all for participating. This meeting is adjourned at 8:39. Have a great day, everyone.